Hey guys, how are you? It's Dr. Daniel Davids, the physical therapist from the Traveling Physical Therapist. I'm here again representing the 400 Fewer Falls Initiative, and I have a very special guest again this week, Daria Gentile from M Excel DKR. Daria, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks, Dr. Danny, for having us on today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Daria, you and I, we have intertwined quite a bit since you and I have met. We've had a lot of conversations. We've met up a bunch of times. So I think you and I have a lot to talk about today, which is going to be really exciting. And I think a lot of people are going to be interested in what you've been doing and what we've been doing. But I want to jump right into this. Why don't you start with something? Why don't you tell me today something that made you happy today?
Something that made me happy today. Okay, well, I'm currently making meatballs, so that makes me happy. But what makes me really happy is the work that we do in terms of the elder care that we help educate to provide, the connections that we bring every day to the people that we serve, the people like you that help us do that even in a better way. I get up every morning and I just love my job. It's not even a job. I just enjoy what I do. The folks that we get the luckiness and the happiness, since you brought up happy, to work with side by side every day is what keeps us going. And when we make a difference in someone's life, that's all the reward, right?
That's awesome. I love that. I'm starting to string together a few of these interviews where people are kind of, they're hitting those same major points, which is we're doing something good and it makes me feel good. Like that's an altruistic thing. I love that. I love working with people like yourself.
Thank you. I completely agree.
Daria, because people don't necessarily know you. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, where you live, your background, anything like that?
Sure. So I grew up in the city, actually, but I've been out in Long Island in Suffolk County for about going on 27 years. I raised my family here. I have 3 boys. They're all adults. And I'm really happy about the fact that we've been able to grow them up here in Long Island. I'm really thrilled to live here. I have a background mostly as, of course, a mom. That's been my primary goal for, the longest of, I won't tell you how long, because then that'll tell you how old I am, right? You'll be able to do the math. More importantly, the work that I've been doing and the work that I started doing when my boys became a little bit older has really been great in terms of showing them that their mom can be a good role model. And I came from the renewable industry, which is also a very respectable kind of an industry where you also give back and you're doing a great thing, right? Because we save the planet every time we put some solar on the roof. That was the background that I came from. And now that I'm in the healthcare space and more importantly, the senior healthcare space and working with folks like you, my kids really, really can see that you can work and do something that you love and also give back and help people and educate people at the same time.
I think it's incredible. And I love that you came, I didn't know that about you. They came from the solar panel world, which I just last month we got solar panels put on the roof of our house. Yeah. So now we're up to date now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it struck me the first time we spoke, we went to that diner and we had that conversation. You were telling me about your kids and everything. I think it's awesome. And I think it's great that you're doing it. I think you're an incredible role model for your kids. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you.
Now, obviously, you started the beginning of your origin story here by telling me about the renewable energy. Can you tell me how you got from renewable energy to Emics?
Sure. So, I think I've always had that kind of business development background and that socialness and that friendshipness that I've always brought to my business acumen. And I meet a lot of folks, obviously, wherever I go. And in that, right here, right next door to me, a few doors down, a neighbor of mine introduced me to Guido, and whom you know. He is the founder of M Excel DKR. And my husband and I found out about it. And right away, my husband wanted to get involved. And when I found out about it, I said, oh my gosh, I totally want to help behind the scenes. Well, little did I know I would eventually be up front. But initially, that's how I found out about it. And when I heard what we're doing and how we're helping connect seniors to care in a way that helps them preserve their legacy, I think that's amazing, and age with dignity. You know, there's a lot of seniors living here on Long Island. So just as I was when I was in the solar industry, and I felt I had a lot of roofs to cover, right, with solar panels, I feel the same way here. I feel, and you know, I'm not that far from being close to being a senior myself, you know, and I went through this with my parents. And so, yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it all makes sense, and why I have a passion for it is because honestly, I can tell you and probably answer another one of your questions before you ask me, because I know you're going to ask me what made me get into this. Well, I have a personal story. My mom, you know, suffered with dementia, and that goes back a while now, but it took 7 years, and it, you know, eventually she passed from it. And so I became brutally well aware what that's like and what it's like to have aging parents and the need that's there. So that's the passion that speaks to my heart about the industry. And so those are all my reasons and how I got involved.
Yeah, and that's having a family member, like you're talking about, having a family member. I mean, just same thing with me, and I tell my origin story all the time about my grandmother. I mean, it's this heavy stuff. But it forces us to take a bigger role in helping the next group of people not have to deal with what we dealt with or what our families had to deal with, and to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to jump right into, you got to tell me, M Excel DKR.
Yes.
Now, I've told you this before, and I just, you know, I even said this to someone recently relating to something completely different, but as a healthcare provider myself, I'm pretty health literate, and I'm pretty health insurance literate, decently literate. But you know what? When we first met, I kept thinking in the back of my head, like, I'm not really 100% sure what you do. So, like, pretend I'm a 5-year-old and do your best and explain to me what exactly M Excel DKR provides.
Okay. Great question. And you come from a good place on that, because you're right. You do have to tell people like they're 5, because that's really the basics. So as people age, what tends to happen is they need a little more assistance. And what we know at M Excel DKR, because we're in the industry, and you will probably agree, most seniors tell us they want to age at home. They want to remain in their home, and they want to age, and we want them to have dignity in doing that. We want them to feel like they can still take care of themselves in doing that. However, as you know, as seniors age, it becomes a little more difficult. They have daily activities that they need to do to take care of themselves and take care of their home, right? And those things become a challenge. So what we do at Emics Eldercare is we're senior advocates, and we help seniors connect them to care. And we do it in a way that's very efficient, and really we want the best, with the best outcomes in mind for them. So it's a very personalized hand-holding process. Now, without getting too complicated, just so you know, there's a program that's out there called Medicaid. And Medicaid has a special program that's made for seniors who are 65 or over, disabled folks, and people that are blind. It's a special program just for those folks. And that program will help pay for care at home. And it will also eventually help pay, protect, and, the way we work with folks, we help them protect their home, preserve it for their legacy so they can pass it along to their kids, and at the same time help them become eligible for the Medicaid program that will get them the care at home, a home health aide, to help them with their daily activities of living. Does that make sense, Danny? Dr.
Yeah,
Danny?
I think you did a great job with that. That's a great explanation. And you're saying, you said something really perfect, which is you're connecting people with the care that they need, and it's so important to do. I mean, not necessarily hand-holding, but hand-holding. I mean, that's one of the things that's really great, is that hand-holding from, like, I don't know anything of this world now. I'm at a certain age, or maybe I used to be a lot more independent, and I'm less so now. So what are some of the obstacles that you have found, Daria, for yourself? What are some of the obstacles that you have found connecting people with care, or even not necessarily even connecting with care, just getting people where they need to be? What were some of the obstacles or hurdles that you've had?
So, I mean, for us, do you mean for as a business, or do you mean in general in terms of the program and getting the information across?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Well, I think I'm going to have a question in the back of my head. I have a question that's going to be more about getting the information out. Uh, but I think I'm thinking more about like just getting people connected, or even, you know what, you could take that either of those two directions.
Okay.
I think both of them work very well.
So getting the information out is always going to be a challenge. This is a relatively early onset of our business at M Excel DKR. We've been around for about 2 years. We've got some great families we've worked with and wonderful stories to tell about the folks that we've helped. But there's always going to be a challenge because I think we're like millions of people here in Long Island, right? And so it's just little me and Guido, and of course we have a back office team, but for front facing, it's almost little me, right? And one person to try to get all that information out to all those millions of people is always going to be a challenge. However, for us, we want to not only get the word out that Emics exists, but more importantly, we want to get the word out about the correct information about Medicaid, how people can tap into that, how they can become eligible, what the program stands for, how it can help, what questions that we can answer as a resource to those folks out anywhere in New York State, because the program is a state program. And of course, you probably also know there's a federal program that's under Medicaid as well. So every state, has their nuances. But for now, we just want to tap into as many industries, players, and partners like yourself, Danny, that we can work with side by side that are in the industry, because it's just little me, right? So the more healthcare professionals and senior advisors I can tell my story to and let them know what we do, like I just spoke about a moment ago, those people are in touch with a lot of folks, and so on and so forth. So our hope is, in working side by side with industry partners like yourself and other professionals like yourself, and the many others that we've met through some of the organizations that we work with, and we can talk about that little by little, day by day, I will get the word out. But certainly, this is a big, big plus, you having me on your video cast today and helping us get this out on Facebook. And I've been using that as a vehicle as well. As you know, I post some pictures on there and some things, cool things that we do and that Emics, provides in terms of different events that we put out and so forth and sponsor. But yeah, I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent because there's so many things to talk about, but that's basically the biggest challenge is, just getting people to understand that we're here, reach out to us. We're here to help and answer your questions and educate you in any way we can.
You guys have such an incredible program. You really do. When we did that seminar together, that workshop together, you guys, I was watching Guido speak or listening to Guido speak, and in my head I'm going, I should be taking notes. Like, I loved it. I honestly thought it was really great. You guys have something really great, a great service to provide for people who really, really can use it. And I think it's great. Now, I was going to ask you a question. You kind of answered. You started to answer, but I'm going to be very specific now. Tell me, like, most people have the wrong idea about Medicaid, or they have some preconceived notion about Medicaid. Debunk it. Tell people exactly what Medicaid is, what they're, from your perspective, right? What it is from your perspective. I don't need the specifics, but for you guys and for what you do, what is it? Debunk that people think, and when I say what people think, I think what I'm leading to, but I want you to answer it. So what is it that people think about Medicaid that's way off base?
So you nailed it, Danny. People think that Medicaid is for the destitute or the poor, really. They don't understand that this particular program is there for seniors, disabled, and the blind to help support them to get the care they need and help them pay for it. I mean, it's as simple as that. They need help at home, and that's as basic as it gets, right? But I think the biggest myth out there is that it's for the poor and destitute. And then additionally, even when we start to tell them what I just said to you about it's a program for seniors as well, there's another leg of that program that works for seniors, right? The other big myth that everybody thinks is, well, I can't qualify for that. I own too much, I make too much, or I have too much. Those are the biggest misconceptions, but they are wrong, because we can help in those instances. What we specialize in at Emics DKR is taking a global approach to the planning, to the financial aspect of what their particular personalized situation looks like. And we can take them through the steps to help protect and preserve those things, to make sure those things are saved and secure for their family. They get passed on to their family, which is what they would want. And at the same time, qualify them, get them qualified for care at home through the Medicaid program that will pay for that care. So it's pretty cool, and it's at the same time, there's a lot of confusion about it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And it's the more you educate people, the better that's going to be. But I know for a fact that's, like I said, even someone who's health literate like myself, health insurance literate like myself, I had questions when you started first talking about Medicaid. And I was like, I don't know if that's really the population. They went, oh, that is the population that we're working with, because it's seniors. That's a huge part of it. In fact, I just want to tell you a very quick story. I just had a former patient of mine who I'm friendly with, and she was telling me, unfortunately, she had a position, a job, and they got rid of her position. They eliminated her position. Very sad. And she's been doing this for a long time. And she goes, well, I don't know what to do. I have this, I have that. I don't know what to do. And she's talking about insurance. And my first thought was, oh my goodness. And I wrote down your number. I said, oh, you got to call Daria. And I gave her, I said, you got to call Daria. She's going to be the person who can help you out. And she just went away. And when she comes back, I think she's reaching out to you about this too.
Awesome.
Because we had this whole long conversation about it too. So
awesome. That's great. And you know what? I wanted to say something else on that note. I'm glad you did that. And that's really all that needs to happen. If you don't need to understand, you just need to know that they're seniors, they're disabled or blind, and they need help at home. They need some kind of help, or they need some kind of guidance, or they have questions, or they're worried about care. They're worried about how they're going to pay for care. Any and all of those, right? Or they have a home and they know they're getting up in age and they realize, maybe I heard I'm not supposed to leave that the way it is. They may have heard that somewhere. And that's absolutely true. They want to protect that. But the fact that you gave out the number is the start of that process. You don't need to know everything about the program. And what I wanted to say additionally is there are seniors and families that we can help just by educating them. They may not actually become our client because they may have a situation or a scenario where we may need to give them to a partner, right? We may need to hand them and introduce them to someone else who can take them to the next step in whatever that specific thing that they need, is. And it can be as simple as they don't need us to help them qualify for Medicaid. Maybe they qualify naturally and they just don't know where to go, right? There are resources out there for those folks that can help with that type of stuff. So we're happy to talk to anybody, anyone in the senior space that has questions about any of that. We will get them to the right people. If we can't completely finish the job or help them through to beginning to middle to end because it's not exactly what we do, we're going to get them to the right people because of all the partnerships and associations that we have.
Cool. Okay, so I know that I'm not holding you to the standard of a clinician for this next question. And I asked, one of my first interviews, I asked a optometrist, this question, and he gave me the answer that is vision-based. And so I'm asking you, just as someone who's had parents who were older and everything like that, what advice do you have to people to not fall? How can you help people? Like what pearl of wisdom can you give to people to avoid a fall?
So I'm not the expert, obviously, but I do know that balance has a lot to do with that. And I am also something you may not know about me. I am a dancer. I like to dance, and I'm also a very physically fit person. I'm a very health conscious individual that you probably know. But your balance has a lot to do, and I learned this from you, I think. I'm going to tell you, it has a lot to do with your vision, right? Okay. But I think it also has to do with your overall health and strength. And I always say your abs. I notice when I have strong abs and my core is strong, I can feel like I can do anything, right? So I think that's your center. And being a dancer, we always call that our center. And you want to always dance from your center. So without any special expertise like you have, that would be my, try to stay active, try to stay strong, do physical strength exercises. You don't need to do a lot, but every day or every other day. And I love walking. Quite honestly, if I can't do anything else, walking is always a great thing. So that would be my answer.
I like that. And what kind of dancing did you do?
Well, for when I was a little girl, I started with ballet and tap. And then as I got a little bit older, some jazz and some, and then in college, I actually studied modern dance, which was fabulous. And now, don't tell anybody. Now I know everyone's going to see it, right? I'm giving away my secrets, but I like to Zumba. So I like all the, the real cool, edgy stuff. And I Zumba for fitness now. So it's a lot of fun because, the music is going and at the same, you're making yourself happy by dancing. You got a great feel good with the music. You're on the beat. You're doing all that, and you're getting a great workout at the same time. So that's kind of, I'm a big multitasker. So like I told you, right now I'm making meatballs while I'm talking to you.
I better make sure I speed up this interview. I'm sorry, I don't want to have any burnt meatballs. So that's very cool. So I didn't know that about you, and now that means we have to do a Zumba class together, without a doubt.
Okay, do you Zumba?
No.
Well, we're going to teach you. That's great.
That's right. That's why I have
you
to
come
go.
as my guest.
A long time ago, I went for one, and there was not enough Gatorade in the world to replenish myself after that workout. So, but I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
I love it.
Okay, just switching back again. What's something that you would say, or that you know to be true, that most people would disagree with you about? What's something that you know to be true, you think to be true, and most people would probably say, Daria, I don't know if that's the case, but you know otherwise.
Gee, I mean, that question, that's a stumper for me. In relation to Emics, in what I do, or in my personality? I don't know what you mean. Because if I want to say in my personality, I can answer that pretty quickly.
Let me hear that one first.
Okay. So I would say, I don't think I talk that much. And I think everyone else would probably disagree.
That's very good.
Now in my professional life, that's a tough one. I don't know. Give me yours. What's yours?
You put me on the spot. That's good.
Did,
I like that.
Because I need like a little guidance.
Okay, so what's something that I know to be true that most people? Okay, here's something that I know to be true. I know to be true, but most people would probably disagree with. Most people think that as they get older, it's just inevitable that they're going to fall. A lot of people think, well, she's 80, of course she's going to fall. I mean, she's 80, but that's not the case. I know I've worked with people who are 100, in their triple digits, right, and they're not falling. So I know that it's not inevitable. Falling is not an inevitability of age. And that's something I know to be true. And I think a lot of people may disagree with. Do you have something you want to counter with?
Yeah, I'm kind of drawing a blank. I love that one though. I love that one. I'm sure there's 10 or 20 I should be thinking of right now, but go to the next question.
I'll go to the next question. And the truth is, I think when you were talking, when I asked you that question about debunking what most people, I think that kind of goes along with that same thing. I think a lot of people would probably say Medicaid is not for, the general, it's not just for everyone. It's only if you're very, very poor, if you're very, very disabled. And it's not the case,
I would agree.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people would say, no, Medicaid is this. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't know the difference between Medicaid and Medicare, and I think you nailed it when you said Medicaid state level and Medicare is a federal program, right? So I think you said that before. So just put those two things together.
I mean, just so Medicaid is available in all states. It's just there are nuances to the program. So that's a great point. Just real quick, Medicare versus Medicaid. Honestly, when I got into this industry, which isn't really that long ago, I didn't understand the difference. Do you know what the difference is?
Well, like I said, I know one's state level, which is Medicaid, but not each state has it, but Medicaid, which is state funded, versus Medicare, which is federally funded. I know that's
1 point. The other is Medicare is something that covers your health insurance. The way you have health insurance when you're under 65, once you're over 65 or over, you automatically qualify for Medicare, which provides you with your health insurance, your daily health insurance, meaning you go to your doctors if you need, it gives you your hospital coverage, and Medicare pays for 80% of all of that. And so some seniors, most seniors, more than likely will get also a supplemental plan that they'll pay for to pay for the other 20%. But every senior gets Medicare, okay? Medicaid is not an automatic program. Mainstream is a different, mainstream Medicaid goes by income, but we're not talking about that, right? What I do, I work with aging, blind, disabled Medicaid. And that is something that you do need to, there is an income qualification, but as far as what we work with to get what's called community Medicaid, which is care at home, there's a process that you go through to get that. There's an application that needs to be completed, and it's a pretty intricate process, right? So, and that's really what we specialize in. So those are the differences. And Medicaid pays for a lot of the things that Medicare will pay for, but not everyone automatically gets Medicaid, like I explained about Medicare. Once you're 65, that becomes your health insurance.
I think it's really great. I think that's something people need to know. Because, you know what, like I said, there's a lot of misconceptions about Medicaid. I think a lot of people, like I said, first off, they use the two interchangeably. And then if they do know the difference between two, or I should say, if they know that they're two separate entities, I don't think it's super common to know which one is the one that you're going to get automatically. And what's something like that I would have to do, fill an intricate application for, and who would I go to see to do that? It seems like everywhere you go, you're hearing something about Medicare and sign up here and sign up there, and there's commercials and there's this and there's that. And for Medicaid, there's just not as much. And I think it's very important. I think what you do and the care that the services that you provide, you and Keto, are incredibly important, because if nothing else, just educating the public about this stuff, which is what we're trying to do here today, just educating the public about this stuff is huge. It's huge.
It is huge. And, if I didn't say it initially when we first started the interview, when you asked me about Emics and I said we were senior advocates, I like to say we're senior advocates because we take an advocating, I don't know if I'm using the right word, approach to Medicaid planning. Essentially, we're Medicaid planners. So we take the clients that we sit with and the families that we sit with, we find out what their goals are, we identify what their needs are, what their concerns are, right? And then we take a global approach and look at that whole picture, and we suggest planning in certain ways, and then the processing of the Medicaid application so that they can then qualify for it. And then very important, our last piece is that, and that's how we really differentiate ourselves, is that we connect them to care. It's very, very important. We work with managed long-term care companies very closely, and we work with a lot of the agencies, but certain ones that we have great relationships with, and many of them specialize in particular areas. For example, I mentioned my mom had dementia. There are a few agencies that we work with that specialize, with to help patients and their members, that have dementia or Alzheimer's, and other agencies that we met another one a few weeks ago that deals with traumatic brain injury. So it's a complex world out there when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to senior care, when it comes to home care, when it comes to agencies and long-term care companies, and how the ins and outs of all of this are. And that's really, that tail end is when we connect them to care. And that's really another area that's super, super important that we focus on, that differentiates us from any of the other independent planners that are out there, or certainly sometimes people use elder law attorney for that. And we're really an alternative to that. And what, again, in our name, elder care, right? Emics Elder Care. We focus on the care, right? We focus on connecting them to care as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, with the best outcomes. And one of the other areas that we differentiate is in when we first meet our clients, right? We go to their home. We don't charge them for a consultation, where, a lot of attorneys, we know that they charge, $500 or $600 to do that. And some independents may do same, or they don't go to the homes. And that sometimes creates, you know, a stress on the family. They can't get out, or the senior can't get out, whatever it might be, you know. So we do that. We don't charge for it. And essentially, they need to get, when we want to plan with them and we're helping them plan, they have a ton of documents that they need to provide to us. That also becomes a challenge. They don't email. They don't know how to scan. Sometimes they don't even have the documents. We have to help them. So we literally are on their kitchen table, making the calls with them, helping them get statements, scanning things, and making sure we're shortening that timeline. Where others hand them a checklist and say, okay, here's your checklist. This is what you have to get to me. Call me when you have it. Months can go by. That's preventing them from care, you know? And if they don't get enrolled in Medicare by a certain time of the month, they're missing another whole month. Think about that. A month of care being missed, Dr. Danny, in a senior's life is detrimental to them.
Certainly.
So that's the difference between working with a care focused company like M Excel DKR rather than an attorney or other types of planners that may just take a different approach, right? And so that's really how we cradle people and we personalize our service.
I think one of the things that you just said that stood out to me, I'm just combining two things that you said in two different sentences. You said we remove the barriers. This is I'm paraphrasing. We remove the barriers, and then we hold your hand to make sure you get the care. So you make everything as seamless and smooth as possible. And I got to tell you, because I'm working with the same kind of people that you're working with, the same population, that's so important. It's so important because you know what? You get overwhelmed, things happen, and things get lost, and the checklists go missing, and then this and that. And the fact that you can gently and just everyone gets the same loving kind of hand holding from, you know, hey, this was where it was now. And now here, welcome. This is your new caregiver, and we're gonna, you know, put you up. I think it's so incredible. It's incredible, Daria. Now,
Thank
Daria, yeah, well, you guys are doing an amazing thing here. If let's say we have everyone on Long Island, all the sandwich generation on Long Island is listening right now, and they want to hear that one piece of advice from you, whatever it is. It doesn't have to necessarily be about Medicaid specifically or about Emics, but just in general, what's the one piece of advice that you want to give? You could scream from the mountaintops so that everyone can hear Daria say. What would it be?
Don't feel alone. Don't feel lost. Reach out. Go on, you know, even if you go online, there are so many senior services and networks to help you. I didn't think of that. I didn't understand that when I was going through it. So if that's my one piece of advice, you know, get out and just, you know, use your groups on your Facebook and ask the question to your mom's groups. You know, do not feel like you're alone. So that would be my one piece of advice, because there's a lot of help and information out there from really great people that do what we do. And the two associations I'll add to that, Sun Suffolk and NAIPC, which is the National Aging in Place Council. We are members of both, and they are all there for seniors and care. So those are two great organizations to get information from.
And you're getting more involved in the National Aging in Place Foundation, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we are. We are now going to add an East End meeting out in the Riverhead area, and we're going to be piloting and launching our very first East End meeting on September 4th. It's going to be at Day Haven in Riverhead, and it's for all the industry professionals and businesses that relate to the senior, that are in the senior industry. They're going to be joining us, many of our other members that come from the Suffolk meeting. So it's all one chapter, but we have 3 meetings, one in Nassau, one in Suffolk, and now one on the East End. And it's the National Aging in Place Council. Yes, and we do also a lot of work with the Alzheimer's Foundation. As a matter of fact, on September 7th, I forgot to mention, we are big sponsors of the walk on September 7th. So we'll be doing that. That's it, and in Massapequa.
That's great. I think that's a fantastic thing. I got the information on that. Unfortunately, I wanted to be there to walk, but I'm actually going to be in Disney. That's just how that turned out. But
that's okay. There'll be other ones.
There will be, and I'm actually a big supporter. My grandfather, who he passed away maybe 8 years ago. He died from Alzheimer's, complications arising from Alzheimer's, and I think it's a great foundation that they have I'm friendly with Robin from the foundation. She's
Yes.
everywhere, right? Everyone knows
Yes.
Robin from
She's
there.
everywhere.
So I think it's incredible. I'm looking forward to being a part of it for next year.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Now, Daria, I have some rapid fire questions for you. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. I have like two, three, four. Okay. If you couldn't work with what you're doing, M Excel DKR, you had to do something completely different, but you could do anything. Snap your fingers. You could do any profession that you want. If you said you want to be a heart surgeon tomorrow, you wake up, you're a heart surgeon. What would you do? What would you want to be?
Oh my gosh, that's such a smart question. Probably, you're gonna laugh, but I probably would want to be a singer, a dancer, and a performer.
Well, I don't think, you know what? I don't laugh. It sounds like you're already most of those things, you know? So if I'm watching, so you think you can dance, I'm going to see Daria Gentile up there next. Is that the case?
I don't know about that. But if you come to Zumba class, you'll see me.
Okay, that sounds fair.
And I'll tell you my favorite song. My favorite song is Uptown Funk. When she plays Uptown Funk, I just go crazy.
So you're a Bruno Mars fan. Okay, well, that's relatable. I like Bruno Mars.
I am.
Okay, next rapid fire question. What's something that you are not very good at?
That I'm not good at?
Yeah, what's something you are not very good at?
I'm not good at. Leaving my house upside down. Letting things lie. You know, I'm a kind of a fanatic with, OCD a little bit.
Okay, so you got to make sure each box is checked before you leave the house. You make sure obviously you got to make sure the oven's off. You got to make sure that's up, but you got to make sure everything's cleaned up before you go. Oh, God bless you. I wish that was a problem that I had. I bet my wife would wish that too. My wife would wish that too. What's a piece of advice that you can give to people, and maybe you give it a lot, but you're not particularly good at keeping for yourself? Like, what piece of advice do you give, and then you go, I don't follow that advice, but I should, but I don't?
That's a tough one too. You ask tough questions, Dr. Danny. A piece of advice that go see a doctor when I'm sick. How's that? That's for real. I'm the worst. I have to be dying to go. I have to be scared, really scared to go. Totally. And I always tell others, you should get that checked out, but then I don't take that advice when it's me.
That's, you know what? I've often fallen into that category as well. I'm blessed. My wife is a physician. I kind of go past her and I say,
there
how
you go.
important is this that I need to get checked? And she goes, go see the doctor. And then I go, that's kind of, I have like one step in between me and a physician's office. So
that works. That's great.
Okay. You find $100 or $1,000, whatever the number needs to be. You find $1,000 on the floor. No one's around to claim it. You can't save it. You have to spend it, and you have to spend it today. What are you doing with that money?
Probably go buy a new outfit or shoes.
What kind of?
Don't tell me.
Well, okay. So what's your taste? What's your taste? It's so funny you said. I actually recently asked someone that, not on camera. I asked someone that, and they said, I would go shopping, and I said, I said $100, and she said, well, I'd go shopping, probably get, a few pairs of clothes, maybe shoes. And it's $100. I said, oh, maybe you're Maxxinista. So,
yes,
you're the
I am.
A TJ
I am.
Maxxinista.
I do go to those types of stores too, because I have a hard time paying. I would never pay, $200-300 for a pair of shoes. I just wouldn't, But yeah, no, that's what I would do. Or I would go I'd go get a manicure or something, or, I have fun with my nails. I do the nail thing. So I'm always about the beauty. So I like that. I like all the beauty stuff too. So I'd probably go get a pedicure or something.
No Manolo Blahniks. I'm saying that wrong. No Louis Vuitton, nothing like that for you. You're okay with the knockoffs, but you got to have the nice nails. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I get that. What else? Okay. So obviously you have a lot going on. I know you just got back from this trip. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Orlando?
So Orlando was actually the Color Street nail conference, which was amazing because it's mostly women, and it's all, empowering women and woohoo and women in business, and just a lot of amazing women who have only been with the company for 2 years. It's only 2 years old, and they've built these incredible organizations. And I know what that's like because I came from back in '05 to 2011. I was part of a multi-level marketing organization, and I know what that's like to inspire and encourage and coach and mentor others to grow their businesses. So, but on a really basic level, it's fun because they're nail strips that you put on, and they have all kinds of cool designs on them. So I have to, next time I see you, I'm going to give you a sample for your wife because I know you're not going to do it.
Not for me?
Yeah, no, they're girls. They're for girls. They're for ladies. Or when your daughter gets a little bigger, they have petite sets too.
Oh,
but what's
my
really
goodness.
cool about them is they're mostly dry, but they're inexpensive, and they're 100% nail polish, and it's just something fun. And I like fun. I like to have fun with things that I do. I'm a very social person. I like to enjoy and share with others. And so it was a great weekend. Thanks for asking about it. And that's wonderful. That's my little side gig beside dancing and exercising. That's my little
dancing, exercising, nails, Medicaid. What do you not do?
What do I not do? Right.
Right. That's very good. So now, listen, for the people who've been listening to this, who are interested, who want to hear more about M Excel DKR, or thought that maybe Medicaid and Medicaid planning is really just for people who have no money, or people who are severely disabled, or anything like that. For the people who found out, like, hey, wow, my mom fits this profile pretty well. How do people get a hold of you? How do people find M Excel DKR? So
mxldkr.com is our website. But they can call me directly at 631-214-9613. That is our mobile number, and that floats between myself and John. One of us will answer, or mxldkr.com, or Danny, they can, if they see your face and you introduce me and they like you better, they can reach out to you and you can get them in touch with me. Because you actually have my personal cell phone number.
That's right.
Which I don't mind giving out. If it comes from you, absolutely. Give it out all day long.
Do me a favor. Say the number one more time.
631-214-9613. Or
and spell Emics. Spell Emics.
Right. EMICS Elder ELDER care CARE.com.
That's wonderful. Daria, thank you so much for being out here with me today. I really appreciate it. You're the best.
You're the best. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to tell my wife to get her nails primed and prepped for you.
I have to meet your wife, but once I do, I'm going to give you those samples and then we'll have to hook up. I would love to meet her anyway.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Sounds good, Danny.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.